Hello friends, followers and channel members, welcome back to the channel, and today in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 and the IniBuilds Airbus A350. In the video today then, I know lots of you are very familiar with flying the Airbus A320 family, and if you watch this channel regularly then you'll certainly know how to fly it, as that's pretty much all we usually fly here on the channel. Today though, I'm going to be giving you a sort of crash conversion course, for the want of a better phrase, taking you from using all the knowledge you've got flying the Airbus A320 and porting that over into flying the A350 so that you can jump straight into this aircraft and enjoy it right from the start. Now, as it is an Airbus, there are loads of similarities, but what this video is designed to do is literally take you through all the standard operating procedures step by step from the Airbus A320 family and showing how they are done in the A350. We'll be doing a complete flight as well, right from cold and dark to landing. So if you're not familiar with how to fly the A320, I do suggest you check out this playlist here, because this will give you a breakdown of everything that's going to be discussed in our video today. And of course, if you do have any follow-up questions, then please do leave a comment down below and I'll do my best to come back and answer those for you. Okay, so let's get going from the cold and dark startup, which is very similar to the A320 in what we need to do. First off, you need to go up to the top and we would just check that the battery voltages are showing above 25.5 for all of these, which they are. When we're happy with that, we'll then come down and turn the batteries on. The order in which we turn the batteries on is battery 1, battery emergency 1, battery emergency 2, and then finally battery 2. The big difference, obviously, we've got the emergency batteries in the 350, which we don't get in the 320. After that then, with the external power available, we click both of those and just allow the aircraft a few moments then to fire up. Now the aircraft is alive, the setup on the overhead is again similar to the 320, so starting down here at the bottom left, we work our way up. Crew oxygen supply, we obviously want that on. We're on the ground, so we put the ground recorder on. That is essentially the black boxes recording. Make sure that this has been powered by the ground power, because when we've got engine power, that will provide power to the flight data recorders, but on the ground obviously we need to have this turned on, and it will turn off automatically on engine start. Continuing the way up then, we then want to get the ADIRs aligned. The order for that is again same as the 320, so number 1, number 2, and then the backup number 3. Moving down back to the bottom again then, we start to have a little look at the light. So the strobe light is usually popped into the auto position at this point. We then can get the nav lights on, just lets people on the ground know that there is somebody inside the aircraft. All of the others can be left off. If it's night time, you can pop on the logo lights and illuminate the tail. We haven't done refueling yet, so we'll leave seatbelt signs to off. And then all of the others we can just pop on auto, making sure of course to arm the emergency exit lights, so they are all done. And then depending on your airline stops, then you would have the packs off to begin with, and that just means that when you get the APU bleed on, you leave it for a minute or so all of the fumes are cleared out before it starts throwing the air into the cabin. But that is again just a different company standard operating procedure, so for this flight I'll just have those turned on straight away. And then again, a company swap thing is whether you have the fuel pumps on or off for refueling. My live streams, you'll have seen we always have these turned off for refueling, but we can leave them turned on for this video. Finally then, we have got the fire test. Only one fire test button here in the 350, where of course we've got individual fire test buttons in the 320 for engine 1, engine 2 and the APU. So we can simply press that, wait for the alarms, and then we would come down here just to confirm that we're getting the relevant ECAM messages. Unfortunately, I can't find a way to look up here, press the button, and then scroll down to check that that is sort of illuminating. If anyone knows how to actually do that, then please leave a comment down below. But yes, you would obviously check down here that you're getting the right sort of information when doing that. One other quick thing to mention, just going back to the air part of the overhead, is on the cabin, instead of setting the temperature yourself in the 350, you can leave it set to Purser Select, and that basically means that the cabin crew have controls back there to set the air temperature, so we don't need to worry about this here in the flight deck. Everything over on the right hand side of the overhead we can basically just not touch. Everything by default is set to where it needs to be. Okay, so that's our overhead done. Next then we'd move down to the center console. So we can work our way down, and we need to check that the air data switching panel hasn't been affected. Set the QNH, which I have just checked, 1029. Then we can come down to the comms panel. Now, a few people have said they've not actually been able to get this to work. It is because if you're on VATSIM, one, you have to turn on both VHF1 and VHF2 to monitor both those frequencies, and then if you want to transmit on those frequencies, well, you have to make sure that the call button is illuminated. So obviously that's now transmitting your voice on COM1, or you'd then transmit on COM2. The same with the PAs. If you want to be listening out for those and the cabin crew, and you want to make a PA call, then obviously you'd switch this on. But no, we're going to leave it back on VHF1 to chat with air traffic control. Continue on our way down, you just check the usual things like thrustmasters, engine starters, engine mode selector, all of that. Then your spoilers, flaps, levers, they all need to be in the right place. Obviously parking brake is down. And then we come up to the FCU. We obviously want to set the correct QNH on here as well. And then we can pop on the constraints and leave the rest for now until you've had a look at the charts prior to flight, and then obviously you just need to set your initial climb altitude. So now we come down to probably the biggest change when stepping up from the 320 to the 350, the flight management computer, or the MCDU as you would know it in the 320. Essentially we set this up in exactly the same way, but a lot of the pages are different and some pages are now omitted. So starting with, if you think of the old acronym DIFRIPS, we have a look at the data page to begin with. Make sure that we've got the right aircraft, right engines, and right active nav database, so all that is fine. And then we would do the init A page. So if we come down here, we can just simply press the init button, and then that gives us essentially all the same information as you got in the 320. It's just laid out in a different way. We do the company flight plan request. That will come in a couple of moments. And then when it does, it's been received, but you do need to then insert that. And there you go, it fills in literally everything we need to know. We're at Heathrow, we're going to Cardiff, the alternate is back here at Heathrow, etc. The cruise flight level, the temperature, all the tropo, and everything like that. We can also do a company wind request. Again, you'll be used to doing that in the 320 as well. And then really where the differences start is we work our way through this menu here. So we'd normally then go to the flight plan page where we can basically just start setting up the departure information and the arrival. So we use this menu here to fill in the departure. Today we're off runway 09 right, and we are on the Compton 5 Juliet departure. So select and then insert. That then takes you to the flight plan page where you can then pop in your arrival. Here in Cardiff, we're planning an arrival for runway 12. Then select your approach, so we're going the ILS 12 today, and then the star for that is the ICTAM 1 Charlie. Now a couple of people as well have said if it's not listed here and there's more down below, how can you actually access those? Well, yeah, you can't actually move this bar. There's not enough here to actually show this off properly, but if there was sort of like at one of the bigger airports, maybe there's another 5 or 6 different departures you can choose from, you can't scroll this up and down. What you have to do is use the up and down keys just there, look, and then if there was more you would be able to continue down the menu and select what you're using. So the arrival today, as I said, the ICTAM 1 Charlie, so we can select that. The VIAs I will pop in none for today, and then we can insert it, and then we just want to confirm it. When it's yellow, again like the 320, it means that it is being edited, and then we can either erase the changes we've made or we can insert them. Inserting them turns everything green, and that's the flight plan all set and good to go. After that, we would then in the 320 set up the RadNav page. Now that doesn't really exist so much, or it does, but they don't call it a RadNav page. Basically you've got the navigation page just here. So this is where you would go in and sort of pre-select any VORs you want to have pre-selected. So we're doing the Compton departure today, so we could pop in here the Compton VOR, pop that in and enter. That then automatically changes the frequency. You can confirm it is the correct one by cross-referencing the frequency on your charts. So yeah, we've obviously got that in and sorted. So that is effectively the RadNav page. Next then, it would be the InitB page. Again, not called that in the 350, but it is the fuel load page. And again, you can actually see, just working through this menu, that would be the Navigate page we've just been to, and now we're going to the fuel and loading page, which is basically the InitB page from the 320. So then you'd fill in obviously the zero fuel weight CFG, and I have shown you this little trick before. You can get this off your load sheet, or you can simply press this and then press the enter button just down here, and that would fill that in for you. Same thing with zero fuel weight CFG and the block fuel as well. That's all filled in. And then the passenger numbers, you can't use the enter button, or I've not found a way to actually get that to work. You do need to get that off your EFB load sheet. So we shouldn't technically have passengers today doing a little ferry flight to Cardiff, but yep, you want to obviously put in the passengers you've got on there. So this is all finished, and you can obviously go through the figures, make sure you're happy with everything. Always make a note of any extra fuel that you've got, just so you've got a time in mind of how much extra holding time you've got for your flight in case you need it. And then after that, we would be looking at the performance page for our departure. And again, you can just quickly hit that button down here to get to this. This is obviously then where you would fill in your V speeds and confirm if you're doing a toga or flex, packs on, packs off. That information of course comes from your takeoff performance calculator in here. We can just sync everything from SimBrief, pull in the weather, hit compute, and then all of that information is given to us. We can then send this to the FMS. Press that button, come over there, and you can confirm the speeds. Now, obviously at Heathrow, we do have the option of doing an intersection departure, and you can also do that in here. If you fly the Phoenix A320, the takeoff performance calculator will have intersections usually listed for you to select. That's not available though in the 320. Instead, you have to do it the manual way, and to be fair, this is also done like this in real life, just to cross-reference the distances of the runway, the takeoff run that we have available. So, either using your Jeppesen charts, or if you're in Flight Simulator 24, you can use the included LiDAR charts. We're parked here at Terminal 5B, and if I want a nice short taxi out, we can depart via November 8. Now, obviously, the takeoff performance calculator has the full length of runway 09 right automatically included. Instead though, I'm going to take November 8, so 3351 is the takeoff run available. So if we go back to our takeoff performance calculator, and we can edit this to 3351, and then we're just going to recompute those figures, and we can see these should change a little bit. So we've got 46, 48, 52, and with a new computation we've got 41, 43, 48. Resend those to the FMS, and now we're all good for that intersection departure. Now the takeoff performance calculator will also as well work out, given your zero fuel weight CFG and takeoff CFG, it will give you the takeoff CFG for your departure. And I know a lot of people have been wondering how you actually set this. We'll come to that in a little bit, because that's not part of the setup at this stage. We need power to our engines before we can do that. The final step then would be the secondary flight plan, where we would put the engine out procedure in. Before you can look at that though, what we do need to check is our position monitor, which is found here on the performance page. And the reason for that is, as you'll recall, in the A320, you'd want to check the position and make sure that we also have got the IRS working with our 3 nav greens. So that's all the information required there, and cross-reference the positions and make sure that they match. It's on this page as well. If you're doing an RMP approach, then you can also check how accurate the information is up here, because obviously that can limit you with regards to RNAV RMP approaches and the minimums you can fly down to. Okay, so for the secondary flight plan, in the A350 you actually have more than one. You can have three flight plans. So secondary flight plan 1, 2 and 3. What we would normally do then is we would just basically double up the initial flight plan that we've got, so we can import the active flight plan. This is basically everything there, and then from here we could go in and pop in the engine out procedure. Now, at the moment, however, I've not actually been able to get this to work. Into the 350, it's actually a what-if scenario. And if we press that down here, you can see there's engine out and also depressurization. I would have expected this to either have given you a little drop-down menu to show you different waypoints that you've got in your flight route, or you could go in and enter those, or a flight number. Now, obviously, I don't fly the A350. I've never even been in a real A350 sim, so I can't say with any certainty how this should actually work. But I can't put any values in here that the aircraft would accept. We always seem to get a blank screen or a message saying that the entry is out of range. If there are any 350 rated captains in the chat, then please do leave a comment down below and let us know what should actually happen on this page. But as it turns out, at the moment it seems that we can't actually set up an engine out procedure in the 350 for the time being. However, with all the box now set up, it's time to go. So we'll get the APU started again, just like the 320. Just leave it a couple of seconds and then you can start the APU. After this has started, give it a minute, get the APU bleed on. After another minute, if you have got the packs turned off at the start of your flight, then turn those back on. And just whilst we're doing that, then we will have a look at the onboard airport navigation display. Now remember, this only works if you have a Navigraph subscription, something you don't get in the 320. We go to plan mode and then we just scroll here with the distance knob and zoom in. The airport map will load. This will take a few seconds to load, and you may also find that you get a few FPS drops as it's doing that as well. So just be a little bit patient. Once it's come in, we can then obviously use that to help navigate around the airfield. There it is. So if we just click once on here, and we can then use this to zoom in, it'll show us where we are. We're departing just here, and look, and we've sort of already got 09 right and November 8 selected. That is the distance, that is the green arrow to confirm this, and you can even go even further on this. You can add crosses, you can add flags, etc. if you wish. Quite important when you have rather a complicated airport with lots of sort of parallel taxiways and things. But yeah, really nice setup. It's not something that you get on the 320, certainly not the older variants just yet. Anyway, now is also a good time to point out something else you don't get in the 320, and that is the electronic checklist. So go to the checklist menu, and then we've got our before start checklist that we can run through. So at this point we just want to work through that, make sure that the fuel that we need is on board. Takeoff data has all been set. We've got the barrier all set. Seatbelt signs, I've not turned those on, so yes, we'll do that. I know there's no one on board today for a ferry flight, but there we go. And that's down to the line. And after this, we'll look at getting our takeoff clearance from air traffic control. And we can come across, and with the GSX integration on the ground page, we can prepare for pushback and departure. Now remember, once the APU is up and running, we also want to disconnect the external power, which it has been running for a while now. So we'll get APU bleed on. External power 1 and 2 can come off, and then back to the EFB. Make sure you press that. So that's disconnected, and now we're just waiting for the ground crew to get into place. Also a reminder, just make sure you've turned off the chocks as well. Okay, so ground crew is in place. We've got our pushback clearance from air traffic control. So same flows as the 320. We want to get the beacon light on. We want to get the transponder on. That is found on the surveillance page. So squawking 2000 today, and yeah, just switch that from standby to on. We'll come back to the TCAS page down here. That's where it is, and then we can just go through our checklist once more. So we want the before start checklist, and all the doors are closed and parking brake is on. So that is the checklist complete. Okay, we're clear to push, and the ground crew tug is connected. We can see that. You need to check nose wheel steering is disconnected. There it is. And we're going to release the parking brakes. That disappears. So engines, we're now free to start. So just paranoia check what the beacon light on. APU bleed is on. So same as the 320, engine mode selector to ignition and starting engine 1. Now the engine that is starting has these sort of boxes around them just to draw your attention to them. Same now as the 320, you'll get the little avail light up just at the top here when you've got a good engine start confirmed. Then once that's done, we simply start engine number 2. There's avail, so engine start number 2, and again there's the boxes coming just to highlight that that engine is in the startup phase. Okay, so we confirm good engine start. We've got avail on engine number 2. Now same as the 320. See, after engine start flows, engine mode selector is to normal. Up on the overhead, APU bleed off. Anti-ice on if you require it. We don't today. And then the APU bleed can come off. After that, we're down here then to arm our spoilers. We want to 0 the rudder, and then we want to set the flaps. Flaps 1 selected, and then we would set the horizontal stabilizer trim setting in the 320. That would be done by moving the big wheels that you've got either side of the thrust levers. Notice, of course, then for the 350, they're not there, they're missing, and that is because the trim select in the 350 is all automatic, so you don't have to do it, but you do need to check that it has been done correctly. So when you look down here, you should see that our takeoff trim setting for this flight should be 30.4. At least it should absolutely be within the green band. What is currently required then is the number here in magenta, 30.3. Obviously very little discrepancy there, so that's absolutely fine. If you do notice that these figures differ by a decent amount, then all you need to do is disarm the spoilers and then rearm the spoilers, because arming the spoilers is the trigger for the aircraft's computers to set the trim value to what it should be. But that's absolutely fine. We're now good to go. Obviously get the taxi lights on, and then we can taxi. However, of course, we do have a checklist to complete at this point. We've got the after start checklist, so anti-ice is as required, and the rest of them are green because everything is set. There's confirmation as well that the rudder is neutral and the pitch trim is set for takeoff. We would then, of course, then at this point do the flight controls checks if it's a nice short taxi, and moving the flight controls, you can see that automatically changes the top page again, just as it does in the 320. So we're just going left, right, up, down. Don't forget as well then to check the rudder. We want full right, full left, and that's it. We're good to taxi. So the next thing then is the takeoff. Once you've got your taxi clearance, then again same flows really as the 320. We want the taxi light on. We're going to arm the auto brake. Only one button for this. Auto brake max is already selected, or rejected takeoff as they now call it in the 350. We're then going to come to our surveillance page. We want the weather radar and predictive wind shear to be turned on, and then we need to do the takeoff config test. That button is just here. Press and hold, and that then should confirm that everything is all green. Fantastic. Okay, so let's taxi to our runway. Okay, so a very short taxi. We are now holding short, ready to line up. So we've now got the before takeoff checklist. Flight controls have been checked. Flight instruments are checked. We would have, of course, have done a briefing. V speeds have been checked. The squawk code is on, and we've just confirmed we've got takeoff memo is all green, and we've got the takeoff runway to confirm via November 809 right, and that's done. So the cabin crew have been advised. The packs we're going to set to off, as that was what I had in the performance calculator, so we'll set those to off, and then we should see that automatically change down here. That's done. So checklist is complete. Before we line up then ready for takeoff, we want to get rid of the plan, so we're going to zoom all the way out on here, set it back to ARC mode, and make sure you're either 10 or 20 so the predictive wind shear works. And with clearance to line up and depart, we want the strobe lights on, landing lights on, nose lights on, and of course if it's nighttime you'd have the logo lights on, and the wing lights aren't really used except for checking for ice and that outside. So yeah, that is us good to go. Let's depart. Again, same as with the 320, when you've been given that lineup clearance as well, you also need to make sure that TCAS is set to TARA and normal. In order to show traffic on your navigation display, you also have to turn this on. Not just turn on the TCAS, but show that you actually want them to be displayed on here. Now, I'm not on a live VATSIM network or anything like that, so we're not actually going to see anything, but that's how we get the traffic to be displayed. For the terrain, you would then obviously select this one, and there you go. It brings up the terrain as well. This aircraft also has a working weather radar, and you can turn the weather radar on just here. However, you can only have the weather radar or a terrain radar. You can't have both, again like the Airbus A320. For the departure then, similar again as we would do with the 320. So we get the takeoff calls. We call obviously takeoff, set the chrono. We're going to wind up the engines up to 50%, make sure that they're stable, and then when we're happy we'll set ManFlex SRS runway, auto thrust blue. And notice I'm not putting the side stick forward in the 350, as that is only something that you need to do in the 320 aircraft. It's not required here in the larger jet. So what's 100 knots confirmed. Very light today, so quickly accelerating up to V1. And then rotate. Aircraft lifting off ever so slightly before the rotate, but never mind. Okay, positive rate. We'll get the gear up. Nav, follow the flight directors, autopilot 1 engaged, and so yeah, again very similar to the 320. We now have the lever climb is flashing, so then we'll reduce that to our climb thrust. And then it should show thrust declimb. Remember, of course, we also want to get the packs back on if we've taken it off with those not on. And then above S speed, it's flap 0 and disarm the spoilers. Now, I spoke about the thrust decline before on some of the recent live streams. This is new for the 350 over the 380. If you go to the performance page down there, you'll see it's basically an auto decelerate. It means that the aircraft won't climb quite as quickly as it could do. It's now just entering speed mode. You can change it if you wish back to a climb, and then that would give you the usual climb FMA that you're used to seeing in the Airbus 320. We'll wind the altitude up and just go thrust climb, open climb, and of course standard pressure 200 blue, and yeah, that then is pretty much it from that point of view. Once you get to the top of climb, it's the usual things. You want to check your SD pages, make sure there's nothing daft happening, make sure there's no lights on the overhead, cross-reference your fuel with the fuel that you've used and what you would expect to have left in the tanks. Also get some en route weathers. Now let me show you quickly how to do that, again just because the page is a little bit different. If you go to the ATC com page and then come over to D80s, then you can highlight these and type in whichever airport you want. We've got Cardiff here, as that's our arrival. It's not far away, so I'm not going to get any en route weathers today, but I can send the request in just here. Oh, hang on, let me just enter that just to clear that. Let's send that request. But yeah, this is the page you would use to get the en route weathers and update them along your journey. Now, just to make this flight a little quicker for the sake of the tutorial, we're going to do a little direct. We're going to go direct to a waypoint called Conco. So in order to do that, you just press the direct page. It's got its own little button here in the 350, which is nice. And then you can use this menu to literally select the waypoint you want. This is a good opportunity actually just to show you that in order to navigate, because you can't drag up and down these, what you will need to do is use these buttons here, and there you go. You can see with that we can actually navigate down there, find the one I wanted. There it is, Conco. Enter that, and we can do it direct with a beam point or direct as you would do again in the 320. Insert that, and that's just tidied up our flight plan a little bit as well. So that's how you would make directs. Let's say now we wanted to hold there at Conco, so we will use these buttons again just to scroll down, find the waypoint in question. We'll press that. We'll tell it that we want to do a hold, and we'll just do a computed hold for now. Prop that in, and whilst we're in that hold, then we'll insert it, and then we'll be able to set up the aircraft for the arrival. And again, it's showing on your navigation display that the hold is in place. Alright, so let's look at setting up for the approach. You need to get your landing weight then in order to do a landing performance calculation. This is found in your fuel and load page. Basically, all you're doing is looking at your zero fuel weight, adding to it the estimated fuel on board at your destination, and it should match up with the landing weight total just here, which today is 178.5 tons. So coming over here, you fill in all the details there. You can also do it just by pressing the sync button. That's the landing weight. That's where you'd obviously edit that if you wish. Remember, syncing this will give you the estimated landing weight at the time that you press that. If you think it's going to be different, you'll need to go in and edit it manually. So that's done. We are indeed on runway 12. You can get all this and sync it from SimBrief, and then you just press compute, and then that basically tells you if you're going to be okay to land with everything that you've got set up there. So that's our landing calculation done. It all looks good. Next thing then is to come down and set up the approach page. And if we now go to the performance page and move along to approach, that then is where you would set up the approach page. Again, this is just filled in exactly the same way as the 320. What's really nice with the layout in the 350 and the fact that we do have separate computers available is you can set this one to the ATC com page, so you can monitor that throughout, and basically then you can just see everything you need to be able to transfer all that information across. The only thing not on there, of course, then is the minimums that you would need to get from your arrival chart. So it's a nice day today, good clear visibility. It's going to be a Cat 1 arrival, so the minimums are 410. And that then is everything entered in. Now the QNH is 1029. Something again you can do new in the 350 you can't in the 320 is you can pre-select the altimeter for the local pressure just by spinning the pressure wheel. So set 1029. So then when we pull for local pressure, it will automatically set that to 1029. All right, that's now done. Just head back to the flight plan page. We are currently in that hold that I set up a little bit earlier on. Let's just go through. We'll leave the hold, and then we will look to do the arrival. To leave the hold, the easiest way is just to press the waypoint after the hold and basically go from present position direct to there, and can insert that, then removes the hold. The aircraft will now continue on its way. You'll also see when your top of descent is as well, complete with everything listed with regards to altitudes. Remember, exactly like the 320, any of the altitudes or speeds that have got the little magenta asterisks next to them, they are constraints, so ideally the aircraft should hit those if you are in managed mode. Near the top of descent then, it works like the 320, same modes. We can wind down the altitude in the FCU. I can put it into either open descent, whereby it's using your speed to target the rate of descent and control that, or if you pop it into descent mode, then it will try and follow the predetermined VNAV profile. You can see they're literally dropping down a little quicker in order to try and catch up with the green yo-yo. Now, obviously, it's always a great idea to check that the flight plan and the flight path all looks correct for your arrival into your destination. Again, just like the 320, go to plan mode. We can then just wind the distance down, and then using the arrow buttons just here, we can obviously scroll through that. And there we are, we can just check that the arrival's good. This is basically an arrival into Cardiff. As you can see, we fly over the Cardiff NDB and come back around for the arrival, which is what we've got here. If this doesn't look right and you need to change the approach, which I know for those of you sometimes flying on live networks, the approach does change, well, that's easy to do and easy to check. So if we select the arrival, which is Cardiff runway 12, we'll select that, go to arrival, and obviously we want to just confirm we've got runway 12, we're on the ILS 12, and then we can select the different veers. So we want the Cardiff veer, that is this one, that's what we've got in at the moment, or there's the Cardiff 2. Notice that one is a little shallower and less track miles, so that's designed for smaller aircraft, so no, it's going to be the Cardiff one. That's what we want all set up in there. So we'll just pop that in, insert it, and remember, if you have changed your flight plan at all, check for any discontinuities, because you will want to get rid of those. Easy to do, you select on it and simply press delete. Once that's done, you can go and confirm what you've put is true and insert. Okay, so we're descending down to 2,200 feet, which is our platform altitude, and that is obviously local pressure needed. So we'd already pre-selected 1029. We can now pull that, and as you can see, it automatically then flicks to what we had pre-selected. With the constraints turned on as well, you can make sure that everything is displayed nicely for you, and the navigation display. There's a speed constraint there, altitude constraint there, 3,000 feet as we overfly the airfield, and yeah, everything's looking good. We're slowing down, we're coming down. We're also below the profile. We're actually 1,200 feet below the profile. You don't get this little number in the 320, so that's nice to see, rather than having to keep cross-referencing it and checking it on the performance page. So as we head through the cloud layer, let's get the anti-ice on, as we are within that ice temperature range at the moment. We'll just start having a look, get our situational awareness sorted, and yeah, we're not far from making that approach. Okay, so we need to activate our approach phase then. So if we come down to the performance page, activate approach phase, you will find at the bottom here when it's available, so we'll confirm that. Check we're pushed for managed speed, so the aircraft is now going to start slowing down. Now notice the flap extension speed is much higher in the 350 than it is the 320, so you can start to get those flaps out much sooner. So flaps 1 we can choose now. We're below the S speed flap extension speed, so we'll go flaps 1. And now you can see we're going to start slowing down to the new target. You don't always want to slow down to the characteristic speed straight away, because if you're starting to configure too far out, then you're going to slow everything down behind you, and air traffic control is not going to like that. So I'm going to pull speed, and I'm just going to wind that up to speed 190, and that will be fine. You can see 190 is below the next flap extension speed, so we're already available to choose flaps 2 now if we so wished. Alright, so we're overflying the airport. The plan is then we'll fly straight over the top, make a right-hand circuit, and then we're coming in to land. Remember, of course, you've still got your electronic checklist you can use, so we did skip the after takeoff checklist, but that was all fine. We've also got then our approach checklist, so we've done our brief, a very quick brief. We've got the minimums set and the bar ref is set, so our checklist for that is complete. Next checklist would be the landing checklist. So out of cabin crew, we would get them advised. There's none on board today. Auto thrust speed or off. We are in speed mode for this. The auto brake. So now with the auto brake, we will be looking at doing a brake to vacate setting. We would have done this in the cruise, although it's been a very short cruise for us today. All you need to do to access that is go back to the plan mode and then zoom to find the airport that you're going to be landing at. That is obviously down here. Let's just zoom in a little bit more. And then what we're going to do is plan to vacate. The plan would be to vacate after the dry arrow, which is just there. So we will choose intersection Charlie to vacate, set brake to vacate. That is done. And then we would arm the auto brake button, and we can confirm brake to vacate has been armed just there. If of course the weather isn't as nice as it is today and it is wet, then if you bring up the little arrow, select landing, then you can modify the runway to different runway conditions, and then that obviously will affect how the aircraft is going to perform and where the aircraft would be able to brake to vacate. Okay, so we are about to start making that turn. We've got the landing lights on and we're out of the clouds now, so we can get anti-ice off as well. Let's set flaps 2, speeds checked, flaps 2. And this is going to be a nice short final for us, so we're going to push for managed speed, start the aircraft slowing down. We're still nicely on the profile. We'll get the landing system turned on. We want to check that that is indeed the correct runway identifier, India Charlie Delta Fox, which we would cross-reference against our charts, and of course the frequency. And then we're going to arm the approach. So we'll arm the approach, both autopilot 1 and 2, and we'll come across and double check. We've got Alt, glide slope, lock, blue, land 3 dual, autopilot 1 and 2. There is our glide slope. We're already below it, so we could just reduce the rate of descent a little bit. That will just help us to slow down. And we're going to pick up the localizer, pick up the glide slope, probably at the same time, which is absolutely fine. Just continuing then our checklist. Auto brake, that's set. Runway condition, that has been set, and obviously we want to check for our landing ECAM memo, no blue, in a moment, but we're still 9.5 miles away, so we're not going to get the gear out just yet. Alright then, about 6.5 miles out, let's start configuring fully for our landing. So we're going to get gear down, flaps 3, and let's ensure we are pushed for managed speed, and then we can go flaps full. And we've got the ground spoilers armed. All the lights will be on for landing, and then we land it just in the same way as you would the 320. The thing to take note of with this is I found it very sensitive. Now apparently that is how this aircraft is in real life, so very easy to overcorrect. You don't want to have harsh movements with the side stick, otherwise it's very easy to destabilize the approach, and I've certainly not made any perfect landings in this aircraft just yet. Glide slope has been captured. We're on the localizer. We would then set the missed approach altitude, so that's done, ready for the go around in case we need it. All that's left then to do is land your aircraft. Now I don't know if it's because my sensitivities aren't set up correctly for the A350. As I say, I've never been in an A350 or even flown an A350 real world sim, so I don't know if this is true to life, but I feel like you've got to sort of anticipate your inputs and just stay one step ahead of the aircraft in order to get it in. I find it definitely harder to fly than the 320 in terms of keeping on that sense line. But anyway, we've had the 500 call out. We are stable, and we're just ready to hopefully land in the touchdown zone and stable. But you can see there I've just drifted off that centre line Definitely more practice required. Love to know how your landings in this things are going. Let me know. That's 4 whites, so that should probably be a go around, but we'll get her down anyway.
30, 20, 10.
We are down in the touchdown zone just. Okay, so spoilers deployed, reverse green and decel. And that's brake to vacate doing its thing. Reverse off. And yeah, it's stopping us perfectly for that runway. So we'll just tap the auto brakes and disconnect those. So there we are. That's a very, very quick sort of transitional guide from flying the 320 to flying the Airbus A350. I'm sure you'll see there's not that many differences really, are there? Everything is done in pretty much exactly the same way. You just sort of need to navigate around the new flight deck and also enjoy all the extra options and features that this aircraft has to offer. So there you are. If you're confident in flying the Airbus A320, hopefully after watching this now you'll also be able to translate all of that knowledge into flying the Airbus A350. Really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've got any follow-up questions, please leave a comment down below and I'll come back and try and answer those for you. Reminder, of course, to check out our Contrail discount code for use on the Contrail store, where you can purchase pretty much everything for Microsoft Flight Simulator. And of course, check out IniBuilds, who created this wonderful new aircraft. Our channel partner, link in the video description down below. If you have enjoyed the video, please don't forget to leave a like, and of course if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications bell so you don't miss any future videos and of course our live streamed flights. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you all again in the next one. Bye bye for now.